Right, hello everyone. Welcome to uh, this May 4th PatternFly community meeting, Star Wars Day. And during our community meetings, we get updates from the PatternFly team regarding ongoing work, upcoming work, recent updates. And I will be posting this meeting to YouTube after it's over and sending out the link along with the slides to the PatternFly mailing list. This week we have, or this month, I guess, we have a little bit of a shorter agenda than usual. So we hopefully will have a little bit of time for question and answers or community discussion if anybody has anything they'd like to bring up. But the agenda today is just a few updates. One from Jessie, the accessibility lead. We have some React updates and information on some efforts to more regularly promote beta components, and an update from Matt about what we are currently working on. So with that, I will hand it over to Jessie.
Guys, let me go ahead and share my screen. I just have a quick update today. One of the things that we noticed in the React wizard is that there was an accessibility bug with the back button. It worked perfectly for mouse users, but if you were a keyboard user and you were tabbing through the wizard and you got to the back button, if you pressed enter on it, it actually wasn't fully disabled. So with this PR, it made sure to actually disable that for keyboard users so that it works consistently for all types of users. So that was a quick update. And then I also wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about documentation for accessibility. There is currently an effort and a PR right now for updating our accessibility guide. As you guys know, we always build in foundational accessibility, but sometimes with your use case, you might want to add specific things or customize certain things. So we want to update our documentation to fully support that, to answer any questions you might have, kind of flesh that out a little bit more. So that's something that's in the works right now that I wanted to update you guys on, but also kind of a request in terms of your feedback of accessibility documentation in general. I'm curious in your products whether there are specific components in which you would prefer to have documentation more fleshed out for accessibility. For example, I heard from one product that alerts and making those accessible, they wanted a little bit additional accessibility guidance. So we're talking about kind of detailing more about what these props do, what these attributes might do, and try to explain a little bit more about how to use this in your product from an accessibility standpoint. And that's going to be a goal. Obviously, we have a lot of components, so it might take a bit to do that, which is why I'm requesting if there are any components that you would like to see done first, or that you know for sure is something that is a pain point for you. I would love to hear your feedback, or anyone on our team. They can definitely get that to me, or just as we work together on this. So just kind of a request that if there's any components that you find to be difficult on the accessibility side, let me know. We definitely want to increase our communication about accessibility and make this easier for all of you guys, especially as I know a lot of products are adding more accessibility. So just a quick update today and that quick question too. That's about it. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, as we go on, if anybody has that triggers any thoughts for anybody, that you're welcome to brainstorm in the chat or reach out afterward. I'll include a reminder to consider that question with the follow-up email after today's meeting. All right, next, according to the agenda, we're going to have Katie present some React updates.
Yep, hello everyone. Let me just share my screen. This one, yes. All right, so the first step for me, we have a new component called the code block component. This is just to kind of show off different code, and you can actually have different actions. By default, it'll come with a copy to clipboard option. So like if you slap that, it'll actually copy all of this into your clipboard. You can also add additional actions with, like, maybe if you want head code, you could run in an editor, you have a run button. Those can be all programmatically added with just these code block action. Just contain your buttons inside of these. Another variant of code block is you can contain a expandable section. So if you have like a long code block, you can collapse it down and then show like the rest of the code block with this new expandable section. And speaking of this expandable section, this is actually a new variant for expandable section called detached. So this basically means it'll behave just like expandable section. The only difference is that the toggle button is no longer attached to the actual code. So instead of seeing like just an expandable section component, you'll actually have two. You'll have a expandable section component as well as an expandable section toggle. And these can be completely on different areas of the page if you desire, and basically if you want to just control where the toggle is compared to the section. Lastly, we have a new variant for clipboard copy, a more compact inline variant. So you can see instead of like a line in a whole container, it's just inside a tiny little block. This can also have code styling versus normal styling. You can pass it additional actions similar to the code block. And here's some examples that show it off in a sentence to show off the inlineness, where you can actually see it either wraps or you could make it into a block section instead. And that's it for me.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Next is Titani. You're still muted, Titani.
Hey,
There you go.
hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the first thing I'll be showing you is an update to the card component. Two new variations were added. The full height card and the is plain variant. So if you set the full height prop, then the card would be full height as shown over here. And also we have a plain variation of the card. So that would take away the border. There we go. And that's it for the card update. And we've also made an update to the select component. The validated states were added. So we have an invalid select. For example, if I choose a different option, that would be valid. So that would show the green valid state. And then if I click the placeholder again, then it's an example of what the invalid state would look like. And then we also have the warning state. So here's the warning state. We also added counts to the select component. So you can actually add, pass in a count to the select option. So that would be the item count prop. And then we also made some updates to the slider component. There was a request, because this is a beta component, so we had a request to make the API match more with an HTML range input API. So we've added the min, max props and the step prop to match an HTML input range. So now the consumer can set the min, max, and step values. So for instance, here this range because the slider's min value is -25, and then the max would be the 75, and each step is 10. So it increments by 10 each time you move the slider in decrements. So that's pretty much it for the big updates to the slider this sprint. So if you have any more feedback about the slider component, please let us know. And that's it I have for updates.
Thank you. Awesome. I have a few React updates to present myself. So I will do that. Nothing too large, but there were a few updates to the form. One was creating this stacked option, so you could stack checkboxes with their label to the side. And that was a layout we didn't have for the form yet. And also for form sections, we allow an optional title for form sections when before I don't think there was one. So now you can choose to include form section titles. And all of these are just a few extra props. There is the is stack for a form group when you pass it in your inputs. So that's what makes it appear as a stack. And the optional title for a form section is just a new prop that you add for your form section title. So, and you can also specify which HTML element is wrapping your title, which might help for variations in page hierarchies. So that's form. Another update was an iteration on our new and still developing tree table option for the table. This iteration added icons, optional icons, if you want to have icons for each of your rows for more visual cues. They're completely, user or consumer defined. So in this example, it's an open folder if it's an open row with all of its children rows or children branches, or however you define all of these different parts of a tree. And then there's leaf for the leaf nodes and things like that. So it's just showing you how it works. And in an attempt to begin documenting the table a little bit more extensively, the instructions for how to implement the variant features for the tree table are documented in the documentation itself. And I don't think I've presented on this update before. If I have, I'm sorry, but I figured a lot of people were asking or waiting for this, so I wanted to make sure everybody knew it existed. We have added a demo to the date picker component, demonstrating how to create a date and time range picker. And so it's definitely something that you are welcome to play with if you're curious. That it exists now, so definitely open for feedback. And there's an example if you'd like to try to implement a date and time range picker in your app. But that's all I have for React updates. And the next item on our agenda is just a little update on an effort to begin more regularly promoting beta components. So where we are right now is we have decided we're going to try to evaluate components that have been recently introduced, but have also been used, or we've received feedback on, or we think they're relatively stable since being introduced, and offer them up for a promotion every quarter. So what we're going to do is call the June release. Right now we're aiming for the June release, which is at the end of June. It'll be the 2021.08 release. We are going to possibly promote a handful of components. And so I wanted to present the candidates here, so that if you have any thoughts on these components, if you've used them, or if you have any feedback, this is your time to get it in, so that we can make sure that they address all of our needs and then promote them out of beta status. So I'll run through them. So the first one is our banner component. When I send out the slides at the end of this meeting, it will include links to the documentation on patternfly.org for all of these components, so you can play with the examples and see them in action. if you are not familiar with them. But the banner component is one that's been in beta for a while. It's up for promotion. Also, we have a few props for the button component that have been in beta for a while that have to do with how they behave and are available to screen readers and things. So, yep, I guess that's all I'm going to say about that for now. We have the description list component. And the file upload component. I'm not going to read all of the details about all of these components right now because you can read them yourself, but yep, file upload, the hint, and in beta for a while. Oh, and that's a duplicate of the banner, my bad. Oh, why did my other component? Oh, whatever. Okay, notification drawer. A few duplicates in there. I'll clean up the slides. The notification drawer is available for promotion, hopefully. So we'd love feedback on the notification drawer and a simple list. Not too complicated, hence the name. But if anyone has used this in product, we'd love to hear how it's going. And the last one, I believe, is the tile component. It's sort of like a radio button, but fancier. So basically, between now and the end of June, we will continue to proactively seek feedback on these beta components. So calls to action to solicit feedback will be sent via the mailing list. They'll be highlighted at future community meetings, and we'll also just be chatting about them in other avenues to make sure that nobody has any objections to moving them out of beta status. And as we begin promoting beta components at more regular intervals, we are very open to feedback on our component promotion process. So if you have any thoughts about that, also definitely let us know. We are going to update the wording of the tag that's put on our beta components in our documentation, just for clarity. A lot of products have come to us and asked, one, can I use this beta component in my product? And when is it going to be promoted? So basically, I added a little bit more information. This is not live on the website quite yet because we are brand new to trying this new process out, but very soon, hopefully, all the documentation will read something along the lines of: a beta component is currently under review and is still open for further evolution. It is available for use in product, and beta components are considered for promotion on a quarterly basis. So please join in and give us your feedback or submit any questions to the PatternFly forum or via Slack. That's all I have regarding the hopefully upcoming promotion at the end of June. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Matt to talk about what the PatternFly team is working on.
Thanks, Nicole. I can share out a couple slides here. So, okay, so just a quick overview of things that we're working on. Feel free to ask any questions you might have about any of these items. Currently, things that the design team is focused on. We've kind of had an ongoing effort looking at animation for the past several months. Right now, we're trying to, I think, consider where and when we will start to integrate more animation into the PatternFly library itself. So stay tuned on that. Gina Doyle has been working on some designs for enhancements to notifications, and really this has evolved into two enhancements that we're looking at. One is the ability to have expandable inline alerts. So you can save a little space on the screen by being able to collapse an alert and then will allow the user to expand it on demand, and also looking at how we should support things like supporting like a task list of things, items that are currently in progress. So not so much standard alerts, but more reporting status in a sort of non-obtrusive way. Topology, we've kind of on an ongoing basis been looking at evolving our topology view and working with primarily the OpenShift team has been kind of piloting this topology design that Michael Saladonia has worked on. And then finally, another big item that we've started to work on is adding a third level to our vertical navigation, which is something that's coming up from a couple of different product teams where it's clear that the two-level vertical we have is not sufficient for some of our more complex product IA structures. So working with Michael and Becca Glass on that to come up with some concepts for that. So any of these things, if you're, will probably will at some point be reviewed in more detail at the PatternFly Design Share meeting. Our next meeting is tomorrow, and actually we have the enhancements to notifications is on that agenda. So and feel free to give us any feedback on any use cases you have for these specific things or any feedback on these designs as we're working on them. The next, just kind of reviewing what's currently in the development pipeline. The core HTML CSS team has had some ongoing effort on masthead refactoring. We're introducing a new masthead component, and we'll be slowly kind of refactoring our basic page, default page layout to use that component, which will allow more flexibility and better responsive behavior within our page. Introducing a secondary horizontal navigation, which will be will hopefully eventually replace the existing tertiary horizontal navigation. Updates to the toggle group styling to use a lighter blue color to better differentiate those from primary buttons. Theming we've been looking at for a while and trying to develop a strategy for how we might support theming going forward in the future, which would include dark theme, but potentially other theming options. Real-time form validation component, which would support things like password validation, for example, where you want to present a set of criteria for either entering passwords or maybe names of objects, that type of thing. And also a password strength meter to include as an optional feature of our login page. On the React side, one of our current priorities is to release an initial version of a log viewer component, which we're hoping to have a beta version available in our next release, which should be at the end of next week, by the end of next week. Adding view more actions to the select menu so we can progressively load a long set of select options. Composable drop-down menus, so we're currently doing a POC on that to show how you can use, how you can attach the modular menu component to a button to drop that menu and create different variations of composable menus as opposed to our standard drop downs and selects we support today. modifying the table component to properly support actions beyond the kebab menu in a table row. So if you want to add additional buttons at the right-hand side of a table row, we will now officially support that. And finally, we're adding some new list variants. These are just standard text-based lists that you might include in the content of the page. So right now we support standard ordered and unordered lists, but also adding variants for plain lists, lists with horizontal separators, lists with leading icons. So any questions on any of those items? All right, so the issues are all linked here. Again, feel free to follow these as they evolve and to comment on any of the issues or subsequent PRs. You could always take a look at the overall bigger picture PatternFly roadmap where we are placing issues right now. We're planning out through the end of September at this point. So that's all I've got. Back to you, Nicole.
Awesome. Yeah. Andre has asked to present about his group's work on a white theme. So I'm going to hand it over to him since I know he's short on time today. Hi, Andre. You are muted if you are speaking, but I can see your screen.
Yes, I was looking for where is it.
But I can hear you now.
Can you
so
hear
you're
me?
Good.
Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Yes.
This is the white label, let's say alpha version, for you understand. We plan to also contribute not only the white label, but also this icon here with that we are doing 60 languages and in a proper way to scale everything. As you can see here, change to Spanish, change to Portuguese, Brazilian. Then we can, sorry, let me show you. We have this, perhaps we can use that new feature that you mentioned, Matt, on the password here. Then hit login, and then we show the remote desktop of the user embedded on the web page, where you understand how our solution works so far. Then the user with a local very bad connection can go up to 10 gigabytes per second internet connection. And they can use our service for free. If they click here, we show an advertising and he grabs some credits and can use the entire service for free. This is what we have developed so far, and we would like to have some help to give back to the community the proper way, these two components, okay? The beta gonna be of DDAS gonna be in the next 30 days up. But before that, we plan to contribute what we have code already, but we don't know exactly how to do it. Okay, in a proper way.
So it looks like you have. Okay, so you basically created your kind of alternate styling with a alternate set of CSS, is that right? And
some kind of, but we are also doing the white theme in when we are doing the internal login for it's based on PatternFly entirely, the after login solution for
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could definitely get together and talk about what the best way to contribute this, or we do have a community projects page where perhaps this would be a good fit for that. But it would be good to do a deeper dive on exactly what you've
Yeah.
done here
That's fine.
and for us to understand what that is. So maybe yeah, reach out to me and let me know what the best way to kind of loop you in is, and maybe I can set up something with a couple of our developers and we can talk more in depth about
Wonderful.
what's under the
Thank you,
cover.
Mitch.
So
That sounds great.
Back to you, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you so much. As a team, we've been talking a lot about how to improve our communication and documentation around contributing, so that community projects inside outside Red Hat have a path that we can mark a little clearer for people to contribute. So it'll be interesting to walk through this process with Andre and his team, and hopefully learn about how we can communicate better and what a good process would be for somebody outside of Red Hat, for sure. Does anybody else have any questions or topics they wanted to discuss today, since we have so much extra time? That's just fine. And I'm gonna just share my screen one more time and highlight the last slide. Includes 2 links, one to join the PatternFly mailing list if you have not already done so. I use that to send out the slides and the recording of the meeting after it concludes every month. And also that's where the PatternFly newsletter is sent out quarterly, and a handful of other communications such as upgrade guides and things like that. So if you are not already subscribed, you should absolutely join the mailing list. And if you have any questions about this meeting, if you'd like to present or be added to the Google Calendar invitation, please reach out to me and I'm happy to add you. And so I have a link there for my email. And I think that's it. So if nobody has anything else, we will call it early. Thanks for joining, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.